So just recognizing that we are sensitive, we're impacted. This is called contact or phassa in Buddhist language, phassa, which doesn't mean just things touch your eyes or touch your skin. Things touch your heart. And when it gets touched, it vibrates like a pond. You drop a leaf on it and it shimmers. And that's the way it is. Quite beautiful thing, but if there's so many rocks and pebbles and rubbish being thrown into it, it's just churning. So we actually can't get a clear reflection anymore, because it's all just so churned up or slimed up, slime covered over. So we can't get a clear reflection. Whereas if it's kind of, cleared, then it's still sensitive, obviously, which is fine. But then you get that's what I'm affected by. You clearly know what your ripples and effects are. And you can some are very beautiful, being touched, being moved in positive ways. Some of them we take us to places of, anger, resentment, or just feeling inadequate, overwhelmed, or whatever. And so, what's happening? Effects. So we want to know these effects. What causes them? Who's throwing the rocks into the pond? And the seemingly elusive point of the teachings are one can be sensitive and at the same time not disturbed. Because although things do strike our eyes, our ears, and our physical skin, it's the way they entangle themselves, internalize, that can be mastered and dealt with. And for this we have to really get it clear enough to understand, when circumstances are kind of passed away, and there's still these kind of compulsive moods, feelings, which we kind of accept, feeling overwhelmed, feeling busy, feeling can't make it, feeling despair, what's going to happen, guilt, anxiety, regrets, guilt, and you're just sitting in a room. That didn't shake that off. So we're still getting contact, but it's not coming from the senses, it's coming from what's wrapped around the heart. And if these wrappings around the heart, called sankhara, these are heart formations, they form, they dress, they costume the heart, they cloak it, they blanket it, they strangle it, they dress it up. And these can be dispelled or seen through or seen with dispassion. Then the heart, when sensitive things touch the eye, the heart doesn't have to leap up. When sounds touch the ear, the heart doesn't have to shiver and quake. And perhaps more important, we're not under the thralled, under the domination of our thinking minds, which are the primary source of contact. The primary source of contact is not the ear, the nose and the tongue. Those are pretty momentary flashes. Just what's a smell? What's a sight? No, what happens is there's this reflex to interpret a sight as attractive or engaging, or that's the mental tag that transfers to the heart. Or something, an appearance as being distasteful, when it's just an appearance. It's just an appearance. So you can find slugs loathsome, when actually I've never had any problems with slugs at all. Maybe nibbled a lettuce. But so do rabbits, and I like rabbits, are cute. They do much more harm to my trees than slugs do. So because I've got to think about slime and things like that, you find it loathsome actually. A slug is innocent, harmless creature. Or people kind of terrified of a spider in their bathroom. Spider, maybe a big one, maybe a really big one, might be 2 inches across. Spider in the bathroom. And, quick, get the thing out. Oh, terrified. Can't go in the bathroom. Spider in the bathroom. Because of what? Creepy crawly, run up my legs, drop down my back. Thing creepy. Well, yeah, but and somehow that kind of. So this poor spider is just kind of minding his own business, maybe trying to catch a fly or two. Gets squashed. And so, it says when you cultivate so that what things are the unattractive, you see them as, oh, that's okay. And things that are attractive we see as, that's not so good. In a way, the heart is independent of these signs and signals. So that's kind of, momentary. We hear sounds, or particularly what other people are doing. We're extremely attuned to that, because we're flock creatures, herd creatures, so how particular trends and fashions suddenly sweep through, and everybody's got to wear, some handbag with a designer label on it. And you pay 2,000 quid for the label. Just an old bag, but it's got a particular name on it. That's 2,000 quid. Easy, And so this thing, they were selling lipstick, over £100 a shot for a lipstick, because it was Louis Vuitton or somebody other, some kind of fashion designer. This is the part you pay for the name. Wow. You've got to have that name on your badge, on your bag, on your jeans, on your shirt or something. Then we're in, something elitist about it. Of course fashions change. So because we are herd creatures, but herds aren't always going in a very good direction. Kind of lemming-like, So you've got to be able to filter out. Okay, where am I going? Who's running this thing? Who's running this? This system. That freedom of choice. But once we acknowledge that, to acknowledge it, there's a humility in acknowledging it. I too am extremely programmable. So if I go to a monastery, I kind of want to make sure that I'm doing what the other monks are doing or whatever. And some of it's just basic courtesy, but it's also a slight tinge of am I keeping up? With what people expect of me, or what I should look like, or my robes properly, whatever, And some of it's sensible, and some of it's a little bit neurotic. Once you recognise that humbly we're programmable, we tend to be addictive, we tend to fit into what's called silapata paramasa, fixed codes, fixed rigid behaviours. Then be on the lookout for it. And what's the signal? You don't know who's driving this system. You think it's everybody else. They want me to, or it should be. These are the kind of, or it always is, or I never could be. You get these kind of murmurings of what everybody else thinks. You know what everybody else thinks, do you? And even if everybody else does think it, so what? And you get this, everybody else thinks, or they expect me to, or they think this of me, or they know I'm this. You know, you can read minds. How do you know? Well, because he looked at me like that. You know. So, what are you reading? You're not reading other people, you're reading your own heart. And it's projecting. So you get these kind of anonymous statements like, or it should be, or it never will be, I can't. Who's saying this? You know, what other people think? So you begin to, it can be like, in other words, the agent of your action disappears. The ghost driving you. Yeah, it murmurs. When the agent of your action disappears, then you know something else has moved in. That's a sign. Because these, these patterns and tendencies, when they land in the heart, anything that occurs in the heart, we assume is to be me, myself, what I am. Because the heart is an intimate experience. The heart is the seat of subjectivity. It has the sense of I am on it. So anything that occurs in that heart realm becomes I am. Yeah. So the murmurings, it's me talking. Murmurings, it's my moods, my feelings, my emotions, my problems, me. And then even reviewing, looking into the heart in meditation, wow, this is me, God, I'm a mess here. I don't know how I'm ever going to get out. What I need to do to be something other than this. So there's this kind of self-interest, which in one way sounds healthy. Yes, we want to be interested and helpful. But if there's this sense of trying to form a self out of it, a constant, enduring entity that's okay, then we bought into a program that's never been known to succeed. It's like you're running a race that nobody's ever been known to win. And that race, it plays out, doesn't it? The job race, the performance race, the appearance race, to make sure you're attractive, well-groomed, pleasing to others. That kind of issue. Effective, efficient, on time, all that. Emotionally stable, rock solid, peaceful, serene, cheerful, achieving, cheerful, relaxed, happy, buoyant, implacable, effective, on the spot, and makes good tea, whatever it is. It's kind of like an impossible list, which anything you touch has to be really, really good. And what are the chances of that happening? Or what happens when it's not very good? When you turned up late, when you dropped the thing and you smashed this, when you didn't, what happens then? What's the reaction? How much are you in control of that reaction? Are you in control? So when things don't occur in the way that the ghost tells you should be occurring, perfection, effectiveness, on time, polite, cheerful, relaxed, happy, and smart too. When any of those don't occur, which are impossible, So that's a set of impossible criteria that, you know. And then what happens when those don't get achieved? Is it, oh well. Or is it, you idiot, you knew it. What a dumb, typical. No, you should be more mindful, or something like the blame gets in, doesn't it? Or, well, because of somebody else. Because they, I got the wrong information. Oh, because of this. Or, wait a minute, what about my dad? Yeah, it was because of him. You can always... I was brought up wrong, that's the problem. Oh, let's see, who else could be to blame? Well, the government, yeah, that's good. So, they're always handy, somebody to blame. The person in charge, the organiser, the teacher, somebody got it wrong, somebody can kind of channel it off to. Does this do you any good? Blaming others, blaming yourself. I mean, it's not that we don't make mistakes, but does the reaction of blaming, does that make you feel happy? Perhaps make you feel righteous or something. But it's just anger, unprocessed anger, frustration, anger, through not achieving what wasn't able to be achieved. How much are we in charge of any of this? So we're both moved by standards and criteria which are of a rather fantastic, I don't mean happy, I mean fantasy, nature. I mean, it's good to have aspirations, yeah, I want to be a bit more effective or useful, but there's this kind of tenor, this quality of punishment, blame, failure, inadequacy, that the shadow that walks behind these. I don't want that. I want to rise up through love and aspiration, not through compulsive fear and trying to prove I'm a worthwhile person. To who? You have to stand on the street with a little saying, I am a worthwhile person, vote here, put your thumbs up or not. Who's going to tell you? So these things can go really quite imprinted. A sense of, one gets the message of having tried to follow what couldn't be followed and fulfilled, and not being able to, sense of not being adequate, so I have to try harder, and then I get grumpy and irritable and so forth, and I blame myself for that. You set up particular locked patterns. Obscure. So then even somebody says, oh, you're doing fine. That's great, yeah, you're really doing good. She doesn't know the real truth. She's just being polite. She's just being nice. The real truth is, yeah, you don't know the real me. The real me, the honest truth, the real me is the shadow. That's the real me. The real me is the ghost. So that, because we get so convinced by these patterns, psychological patterns, that we've been moved, been affected, the effect has landed and formed a residual pattern where everything runs down that into that pattern. So having not lived up to some notion of what we should be, a pattern of inadequacy, regret, feeling unlovable, unless you work really hard, and then you might get at least, not certainly love, but at least not blame. That pattern sets up so that even when there is goodwill, we aren't able to take it in and accept it and feel nourished by it. We just think it's other people being nice, or they don't know the real truth. or we don't even notice it at all. Yeah. So this is a pattern. So what starts off as an emotion, which could happen in a moment, I feel disturbed, becomes, because it lands in the heart, becomes I am, and then I am the cause of that disturbance. I feel shocked or surprised or disappointed or a sense of alarm, therefore something bad about me, or I'm anxious, or I'm nervous, or I'm fumbling, or inadequate. So, the I am becomes the source of a disturbance that didn't arise from there. It arose because conditions are unsatisfactory. Period. It arose because every system that we use, personal, social, administrative, technological, every system breaks down. Every airplane, sooner or later, will be, sorry, flight cancelled. Every train, one time, will turn up late. Sorry, because it's so hot, the trains can't run because the rails are swollen. Oh dear. Sorry, the trains can't run because there's leaves on the line because of the rain. Sorry. Oh, the trains can't run because there's snow on the line. Sorry. Trains can't run because of signal failure. Sorry. Trains can't run because we're on strike. Thank you for your patience. Yeah. Every system, technological, administrative, sooner or later hits a glitch. Yeah. That's the way they are. And that's us too. We're sickened. We are sick all the time, but this body, his nature is to have some sickness in it. No, could be rheumaticy, stiff, strained sinew, could be something wrong in your stomach, could be a little bit wheezy, throat might be rough and raspy, skin might have a rash, itchy, scratchy, something going out of whack. Uncomfortable, back aches, bit distorted, shoulders lopsided. That's the system. They all break down. Every philosophy, no philosophy ever finally works. Even the kind of most erudite sciences eventually throw their hands up and say, there's just a few more things we need to know, then we'll have it all sorted out. We've been saying that since about 1800. It's not going to happen. Every system, every attempt to finalise, to arrive at finality, completion, total effectiveness, it's a fantasy. What's your response to that? Feel, well, don't get bored. Here you are. So instead of that kind of blame and aggravation and frustration, it's just, can there be another track to move down instead of the frustration, anger, disappointment, blaming yourself, blaming others track? So that's part of our training. Yeah. You know, so, I mean, you could say kind of one of the fundamental practice is patience. It's not the stuff they say thank you for, which is just another line, but it means really understanding, you know, goal, result, effectiveness, ability to have power and agency and get things done, you know, it's not a vehicle. Yeah, I mean, we get a good amount done, but, you know, it's not something you can place a self on. You can't be that. You can't ride that chariot. It's not a suitable vehicle. You're always going to head into frustration, blame, or scrambling frantically to be effective and get things tidied up on time. And what happens is you do that, you get less effective because your mind's blurred, and the pressure you put on the system to make things work means that pressure is going to make itself felt. What happens is internally the heart begins to flounder and go emotionally strange. We get irritable, we get tetchy, and then to counteract that we get craving and fantasies and glutting ourselves, or, you know, comfort binging, you know, to deal with the emotional effects of trying to win a race you can't win. You know? The emotional effects of that kick us into another set of reflexes, which is the distraction. Yeah. Right? To get over the kind of discord that we sowed from pushing ourselves to try to achieve the unachievable. So you get another set of reflexes kick in that also do us no good. Yeah? And then once you're in that, and you see the nature of these compulsive reflexes, they're extremely powerful, and they're really brainless. You don't need a brain with them. You don't need any brain. So you kind of buy sorts of stuff that you don't really need just because it's a special deal. Special deal. Save 20%, buy this. No, the special deal is don't buy it at all, 100% save. But special deal, sound of that, oh yeah. Save 20%, oh yeah. You know, so they're like, well, actually, use your brain, like 20%, but you can save an extra 80% by not buying it at all. How about that? You deserve it. You deserve to have a £120, £120 Louis Vuitton lipstick. You know, what does that mean? Indulge yourself. Indulge yourself. That's another thing. It's another sort of gratification instinct kicks in, and all these instincts they flash very quickly, and they cause these knee-jerk reactions. And they bypass the wisdom circuits altogether. Wisdom, we kind of flush by that. I think it's a different program because it's much easier to react. It's much quicker to react than to contemplate and consider. So when you're in pressure and in a hurry and overwhelmed, then something wants the easy push button rather than the pause, feel that kind of rather numb, sick feeling of feeling overwhelmed and tired. Relax, breathe in, breathe out, take a breath. Well, that's going to take me a good, few minutes at least. Till you can move down the wisdom circuits instead of the reflexes. So, because the time becomes another predeterminant, it's so crucial. Don't waste it, go as quick as you can. Don't waste time. That becomes another imprint on our chittas, on our hearts, where we get gripped by this notion of time as being the most precious essence. So, hurry up. So, bypass wisdom, because that takes a little bit more time, and go into reaction. Because that's what everybody else is doing. So the whole programming thing's got this incredible conspiracy to weave and tangle. And because if we move in those, if those energies take over, it seems we don't even really know, because when the wisdom circuits close down, the ability for self-reflection in any kind of authentic way also fades out. Instead, if there's any reflection, is, am I doing what everybody else is doing? Yeah. Am I operating according to the hurry up, urgent, get the best thing program? Am I operating according to the program? Not am I operating according to what's good for the heart, it's good for my body, but if there's any reflection, it's, am I operating according to the program? So that then you get these reactions. So eventually you can't really get much self-reflection. You don't even know just the amount of weight or blockages there are, because there's no looking at it. And then it gets very, very dangerous. Why people have breakdowns, addictions, they call mental health, which is basically, it's not mental health, it's heart health. I don't mean the cardiac. I mean, when you can't get to sleep because of anxiety over your performance, that's not mental health, that's heart health. When you're going under bouts of depression because you didn't win the last match, that's not mental health, that's heart health. Yeah. And so, this is quite, it's a slogan, isn't it? Oh, so-and-so's taking a year off because of mental health issues. It's not because they can't add up or read a book, it's because they're so stressed out, their heart's, the emotional system has gone off. And then the way it is that affects the body. Because what we maybe need to remember is we have this heart, which we generally acknowledge it through emotions, because that's one of the ways it expresses itself. But what it doesn't necessarily express so loudly is the heart is actually something that's supervising the entire bodily system to make sure everything's in balance. So it's saying, just slow down there, we need a bit more energy there, you're running, so get your breath going a bit faster. It's an internal operating system that's trying to get the body to be in harmony with the conditions that it's in, right? So naturally if you run, the heart is going, okay, running, get the breath rate up. And it will tend to focus on particular qualities such as your breath rate, your physical feeling. You won't be distracted by thoughts. That's why people do things like running, because that's the time when the thinking mind actually stops, because the heart actually switches off so focused on what's needed. Now, I mean, this get real. So look at it very simply. When you just go for even walking up and down in this room, how does the body know what to do? Because you can see something with your eyes, right? How does that message that you're seeing with your eyes, how does that affect your legs, which don't see anything? How does a visual object, which is just a shape and a light, right, and maybe a wish to move, how does that get the legs and the feet and the body moving? The eyes can't do it. You don't have to think. Lift your left leg, bend your toes, move your balance to one side. No, the heart's going, wait a minute, that's how it feels. And it's the embodied intelligence. And it's also sensing slower, careful, floor's not steady. Is that steady, is that firm? Everything is working together to produce a harmonious result. And when we override the heart, basically we knock out the supervisory system of our body, which is telling us about the breath rate and metabolism and processing energies. We knock that out, and then emotionally very unbalanced, psychologically a bit obsessive. That's the moderate to the point where there's actually a real breakdown. People can't have taking medication in order to get through a day and a night. So and that's okay, Well, it's not okay, but then worse is when you're starting to knock back, drugs and booze. You get completely addicted to it, and you know it, and you hate yourself, and you keep doing it because it's become programmed in. So we are programmable to all kinds of involuntary responses and reactions that are not for our welfare, that do us harm, and we can either assume I am this, I am a neurotic, I am obsessive, I am addicted, I'm dysfunctional, I'm unbalanced, I am it because it's happening in the heart. It's because the heart is, when those signs are coming up, the simple message is, don't follow the signal. It can't take you anywhere good. It's a warning signal, something wrong here, something wrong here. Don't try to go back to how you're affected by those signals. How you're driven, how you're frozen, how you're trapped. That point where you feel obsessive, driven, frozen, stuck in a blame pattern, stuck in a cursing oneself pattern, stuck in a hopeless pattern. Okay, these are not unusual. It's not just you. It's everybody, to some extent. What is it? Can we honestly sense that as an energy that feels, that has voices associated with it, that has particular drives associated with it? And can we, acknowledging that, come into our body and ask the body to pull the heart back to balance? And the heart is so lost and shrouded, it needs its partner, which is the body, embodied intelligence. And down, just, give me a shoulder, give me some feet, give me some balance, give me some firmness, give me some movement, fluid movement, easy movement, non-compulsive movement, to get me out of this driven movement. Yeah. Even if it's to break through out of those binds and wrappings, is a challenging process. Primarily it's uncomfortable. The biggest challenge is the sense of self that hovers with them. The sense of self. I suddenly realised what a compulsive weirdo I am. And I'm so ashamed that I don't want to go there anymore. No, you're not a compulsive weirdo. There is that happening. This is where it's anatta teaching, even as a theory, has to be remembered. There's a heart here being captured by voices, ghosts, demons, programs, however we want to configure it. I am not the program. Because if I can be aware of the program, if I can actually hold it at arm's distance, just that capacity means there's some separation from the program, from the heart itself. So, in Dhamma practice, our first go-to is, can we find a way to step back? Not to overcome, not to achieve, but just to it's both detachment, it also means perspective. There is that. It does this, it's unpleasant, it's painful, it's promising me an easy way out. I followed it, it hasn't taken me to a way out. It's taken me to the next compulsion. And it's taken me a sense of self-disgust and feeling ashamed of myself. And then I switch that off and buy some lipstick. Because I deserve it. Yeah. So it's just actually the kind of patience to bear with this kind of uncomfortable process of breaking out of the program. Yeah. Always they can be very compelling, but the most the lock of it is a sense of I am that goes with it. Because when I am it, then I am the I am that's trapped doesn't have a clue about being untrapped, because the I am that's trapped is the voice of the trap. And the trap doesn't know about an untrap. Yeah. So the voice that says I am trapped is telling the truth, except it's not an I. So why, I'm saying you don't need, if somebody tells you who you are, it's a liar. And you can prove it, because you can, for at least, a few seconds or a few moments, you can say, there's that, and I'm watching it, I'm aware of it, I'm sensing it, so how can that be the case? So my first introduction to meditation, I was in Thailand and offering a meditation class in English. So I rock up, I thought that'd be probably good for me. Yeah, it might be a handy thing to know, like learning French or something, handy little thing to do. So I said, okay, well, right, we already and it's like 15-minute talk. Now we just sit quietly for 15 minutes and just focus on breathing in and breathing out. All right. What? Breathe. Oh yeah. I couldn't get one. It's like, look, it's just, you don't have to be pure, enlightened, wise, lovely, brilliant, enlightened, anything. Just follow one breath. I couldn't do it. Oh, gee, God, didn't realise it was that bad. Yeah, I thought it was kind of okay. And in meditation, you realise what a wreck you are. Why do you want it so? Accept. I'm watching this wreck. Am I the wreck? Or am I the watcher of the wreck? Interesting. This needs to be investigated. And eventually the question sort of changes, because it's not an I am either. There are different modalities of how the mind works. One is it's active, engaging, doing stuff, and one is it's silent and mirroring. And when an important thing is to get the mirroring, which actually doesn't really do much. So mirrors aren't supposed to do much. They don't work if you keep jiggling them around. Just be that the mirroring, and then first of all, what you see in the mirror is not very nice, not very attractive. Yeah, but we're not here for cosmetics. We want some clarity. So that first sense of viveka, and this can be done. And we kind of say that there's a step. It means all you have to do is that. You don't have to change it. You don't have to be something else. Right? Just kind of hold that. That's your action. And if you want to have the mirror on a stand, which is ideal because it easily shakes and falls off, stick it in your body. So what do you mean? It means sit with spine upright, feel your body, and the energy of that stable body acts as a kind of support for the mirror. It's not shifting its directions. Not because of this, it just does. Because that's the nature of how the system works, how the body and the reflective mind, or the heart, another way of putting it, how they work. They work together. The body energy is expressed through the heart, or you could say the heart energy fills the body, but they're symbiotic. So if the body is relatively stable, upright, comfortable, relaxed, then it's going to hold the mirror steadily, but not rigidly, because bodies aren't rigid. They flex and flow. So the stability of it, which provides the mirror, actually you find it's not exactly a mirror. It's subtly responsive. So it's more like water, which does reflect, but also is moved. Not to act, but to respond sympathetically. Oh, well, that looks painful. How's that feel? Just doesn't, don't have to store it, how's it feel? Just notice the feeling come. Saddened, flustered. Okay. So then you're mirroring that. How's it feel? Can you be with that? Can you be patient and open with that? And not change it? Okay. So it's a limit to what you're asked to do. And you stay with that, and then you find, strangely enough, other things start coming up. So, a little bit of maybe some sadness, but something, energy starts to soften. We're no longer so gripped and intense and got to make something softer. Oh, yeah. And then what happens? Because what's happening is that reflective process, you're entering the true territory of the heart rather than these wrappings. When you enter the territory of the heart, then without any particular effort, just holding steady, start to get a sense of loving kindness comes up. Where did that come from? I didn't do it. No, you don't have to do it. This is the nature of heart. Loving kindness comes up, and then with that, the heart, as it gains its strength, it starts to let go of the stress. It starts to let go of the need for perfection. It starts to shake off the distraction policy or the runaway, avoidance. It starts to shake those off. I can be with this. I can be with this. It's uncomfortable. It brings forth the best in me. It brings forth compassion and patience and loving kindness. And as these come forth, the heart starts to feel its muscles, its strength. And the wisdom circuits start to open up. You see, that's where they came from. That's where that, how we walked into, how we got thrown into, walked into, ran into, jumped into the trap. The Buddha's saying, I know how this thing works. I've seen this trap, I've seen this barb, I've seen this hook from which generations have been hung for millennia. I've seen it and understood it and disgorged it, therefore set free. In terms of wisdom, a very powerful word, panya. Heart wisdom is kind of right on the spot, but very simple. It's generally one word. Head wisdom, paragraphs, elegies, epics. Heart wisdom, very simple. Heart wisdom says, stuck. Drop it. Very simple. So you're getting complicated. What you really need to do is an understanding and you're going to realise your conditioning is no, that's indirect. That's head wisdom, which maybe have some accuracy to it, but the real heart wisdom feels like this. Feels like inner vice. Feels like treadmill. Feels like treadmill. If that maybe that one works. You get the feeling, felt sense. Feels like treadmill. And as you get that, then something says, get off the treadmill. You can't expect a treadmill to slow down. That's not its nature. They don't slow down. You get off it. And you think, and it's there. You see the space. In that moment of true wisdom, it's called the arising of the Four Noble Truths in a complicated way. You see, you really get the stress as I'm running on a treadmill. At that moment, you see, why am I running on a treadmill? Because I got some feeling that I'll get somewhere. I'll arrive somewhere through this running on this treadmill because everybody else is doing it. So you see the cause. I am. I have to. Everybody else is. I'm supposed to. I'll get somewhere. You see, no, this is the cause of suffering, not success. That's the second noble truth. And recognising that which recognises it, says, look, there's a kind of, you've opened up a heart space, and instead of being in this narrow track running in the middle of it, you can just step off. There's a cool space. that is there in the wisdom circuits, in the wisdom field, in the heart field. And then we begin to put together, okay, now this is what you're going to do. You can avoid doing that, you can do this, you can do more of that, less of that, this is completely irrelevant. You begin to see a path, which you work out intimately. I'm addictive. I'm not going to one of those because I can get hooked. Enough. It's like that. And you see the signs. Or you see the signs called nimitta. You see the signs. The signs are things like the sudden rushing glow. Wow, rushing glow. It means back off rather than grab one. You see the sign, you see the impact in the heart, that rushing glow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see the signs, you hear the signs. Well, one of these, no. Everybody does this, nobody notices, everybody does this, it's okay. No. You see the signs, you hear the signs, and you know these are the voices, these are the images, these are the posters of delusion. You see them, you know them. Yeah. You see them everywhere. Advertisements are just beautiful examples of delusion limiters. Attractive, well-figured, captivating nonsense. And yet they work. So you see the sign, you realise this is a powerful sign. Back off. Yeah. We see the signs of hatred, how easy it is to form, like you can hate slugs. Yeah, okay, I don't want to get into bed with one, but they've got their place on the planet like everything else. Okay, but they're going to eat my lettuce. Well, you're going to eat your lettuce. Lettuce doesn't care when a slug eats it or you eat it. So, give and take. You start to see the sign of, well, I'm not going to go into hatred. I'm going to go into, okay, look at it again. Whose lettuce is it? It's the Earth's lettuce, isn't it? The Earth doesn't say, well, this one's only for humans. It says, here it is. And then slugs, because what else does slug can't go to a supermarket? So you see things like that kind of generate the sign of aversion. When we get spluttering with indignation and fear, and they go, why is it going to destroy everything? No, hatred destroys everything. The animals, other people, you get particular phobes, anti-Semitic, what's Islamophobe, colour things, phobe of the year. We can hate people. Find it distasteful because of some trait or something we decided isn't I don't know, barbaric or seditious or violent or something. Like, well, so who isn't? So, the sign of hatred. And then when they're going to take over, it's going around people. The sign, I see the sign, and how captivating it is. How easy it is to hate. How easy it is. We're very good haters. That's really atrocious. I see the signs, and I want it. So, then you realise you guard, you protect, you nourish, you take reference, refer to the only true guide that you can find. And it's not far away. It's as far away as stopping reacting or acknowledging reactions. And instead of reacting, just go into your body. Feeling agitated, just walk up and down a bit. Feeling stale and oppressed, just start to move your arms. Yeah. Yeah. Feeling overwhelmed with thoughts. I used to do headstands because it's the only way I could stop thinking. Stand on my head, which certainly worked for a while. But then, you used to come to a kind of more manageable relationship with thought, which is wise in thinking, because this endless anxiety of trying to get everything prepared and everything covered to make sure things didn't break down and fail, make sure I was doing okay, because it's all up to me, so I've got to think it all through in advance, make sure I'm really up with it all. So you're thinking. It's not about stopping thinking, it's really dealing with the emotion. And the emotion is based on a psychology, and a psychology is based upon the relational deficiency. I am stands alone. I am stands alone. She has to do it all. He has to cope on his own. And you get a whole social model starts to operate around that paradigm. Millions of people feeling they're on their own, having to cope with it all. Yeah. So it becomes a kind of grim reality. And your Dhamma path, your Dhamma duty, recognizing this, saying, well, if I can help one person today to not feel alone, that's a worthwhile movement. Recognizing they're all most likely in the same besieged state, having to cope, having to make it work on their own. There are millions of other people around. Together, we could make it work, and we could laugh at the breakdowns and get over it. Can there be that heart movement to not just say the word, but to do the action, stop the caricaturing, the stereotyping as, oh, that's the cook, or that's the taxi driver, or that's the whatever. Say, hi, how's it going for you then? Is it that difficult? And really mean it? Is it not that difficult? But to actually to stop the program, oh, I'm busy, I'll go further. To take those 10 seconds. That's practice. And it's for our own welfare, because we're learning to operate from heart. We're learning to break out get off the treadmill, break out of the trap. And we're showing other people, hey, I don't see you as a program. You may think you're a program, I see you as a fellow human being. And just that. Isn't that difficult? No. Is forgetting it? Absolutely easy. Very easy. So this is why we have to practice and train. So the movements we make are not coming from the programs of ignorance, programs of delusion, nor are we just kind of frozen into inertia, but we're also acting, taking those moments, those opportunities to do the small actions that we can do that remind us, all of us, we're not the program. And I see you as that. If you don't see yourself as that, I see you as that. And that throwing out of the line is a fundamental duty, if you like, that can be done. It's steps like this. The Viveka, stepping back. Dispassion, not getting freaked out by what you see. Stopping, Nirodha, stop the program. If it's like for 10 seconds, stop the program. Vodsaga, relinquishing. Relinquishing. Don't even get back on track. That's the big one. But the more we can take one step back, dispassion, open the heart, dispassion into what we see and feel about ourselves. It's a feeling, comes and goes, changes. Cessation. Stop the reaction, stop the program, stop the reflex. Stop. And wait till the voice, the movement, the innate movement of the heart rises up to come out in love, in truth, in ethical sensitivity and respect, and in wisdom. This is our movement of Dhamma.